How many of these do you have around? Projects that started with such promise, but now just gather dust. I know the feeling. We've all been there, right? A corner of the shop, a pile of lumber, tools under a bunch of stuff. Hey, this is Mosquito, also known as Chris, and this is Mosquito Musings, where we think about some of the things that I've been thinking about in the shop. A project that started with so much enthusiasm, then just sort of stopped. Welcome to the Project Graveyard. We are going to start with a dash of frustration, just a pinch of procrastination, and a whole lot of potential. Get it all nice and mixed up now. Don't want anything to be too lumpy. And we're just going to pop this in the oven for a quick second to cook. So we're just going to check on this here quick. Oh, that needs more time to cook. All right. Oh, yep. So with a little heat and precision, and voila, our finished transformation. Oh boy. What goes wrong? It's not always a tool or a skill problem. It's about ambition, I guess. We get really excited about projects and then we start too many things at once, and then life happens, and work, family, outside commitments, other projects for other people maybe. And those projects that we were so excited about just sort of sit there, almost mocking us in their unfinished state. Sometimes it's scope creep. You think you're going to do something pretty simple, like put up some shelves. Simple shelves, right? We just need to actually make them longer than the shelves that we're moving from the other side of the shop. Okay, fine. And also, while we're at it, why not add some extra features here? Now we've got lights to go with our shelves. And so the next thing you know, what was supposed to be one quick evening in the shop to get this done turns into like 4 days because I need to get some longer boards. My LEDs aren't gonna be long enough. Now I gotta wait for those. Yeah, scope creep. That can definitely be a problem. Sometimes it's perfectionism. Get so hung up on the little details that one thing doesn't work, and then we just sort of cast the whole thing aside, or just get frustrated and pitch it off into that dark, lost, unkept corner of our shop. Oh, don't tell me you don't have one of those. We all do. For example, trying so hard to cram the perfect set of tools into a little tiny tool chest, only to realize one stupid mismeasurement, and now you can't quite make the lid the way you want it to. Or maybe it's a lack of priorities. Life gets in the way, or maybe it's one of those projects where you need a chunk of time to get through it because it's just not going to be feasible to kind of chunk it up. When I was painting these things, for example, it kind of got to the point where I just needed the time to get everything painted because it was 24 hours to recoat. And I basically just needed to have a few days where I could just get after it. And now things have sort of stalled out just because I need to tear into the motors, which is going to turn into more paint. So I've been sort of putting that off because I haven't been focusing the time on it. And I really need to get back to that. But again, it's summer, so my priority sort of shifts to the family and spending time with the family on the weekends because Minnesota, you're only unfrozen for so long. Okay, so how do we escape this project graveyard? It's not about beating yourself up and just saying, you need to do this and get this done and do that, do this. It's about taking actions, and sometimes you just need to take small actions, like cleaning up the bench. I'm pretty bad about just leaving the bench in whatever state the bench is in when I'm done. And then I come out and I want to work on something, and it's a project in and of itself just to get to the point where I can work on a project. Start by just sweeping up, cleaning off the bench, putting away the tools, maybe just reorganizing. For me, it's usually about the workbench. When I get the workbench clean, things just feel better. I feel like I can actually get some work done and we can go from there. Or if it's the case where maybe something didn't go quite as you planned, maybe look at the design, see if there's something that you could simplify or make better to make it easier and be more interesting. Or if it's something that went wrong, maybe we can take a look and see what can be salvaged and figure out a different way to do things so that maybe we can salvage some pieces and get back to making good progress instead of just making a giant waste of space. Sort of celebrate the small victories, that first cut, or just sweeping the floor so that you can stand at your workbench without wading through a pile of shavings. Just that first little step towards progress is key. Because if we never take that first step, how are we ever going to expect to get there? Currently going through the process at work, I've been told I have to come up with a handful of corporate goals for my career and all that kind of stuff. They always go the approach of SMART goals, but that's way too heavy for this. But it did get me thinking, maybe we could redefine that a little, reconfigure it to fit those of us that might be struggling with motivation or the, the project graveyard thing. I know I've been kind of feeling that way lately. The initial enthusiasm, the push that gets that progress started, but then quickly fades into the background noise of life. That kind of got me thinking, maybe we should redefine how we start, or maybe restart is a better term. What I was thinking was for the S, so SMART, let's go with something more like small or simple. Just one small or simple little thing goes a long way. Instead of measurable, let's go with manageable. For example, like I've got a chair that I'm working on, have been working on, was working on. To say something like, I want to get the chair done. Well, yeah, obviously I want to get the chair done. It's way too much money tied up in wood to just let it sit and get turned into firewood. Not that its fate is guaranteed not to end up there anyway, but regardless. The idea would be more something along the lines of maybe get the legs glued up, get the undercarriage glued up. Something that helps to make progress without saying I just need to finish it, because making it small and manageable for me is sometimes the key to actually making the progress to get something done. For the A, I was thinking appreciable. Celebrate the small things, like I actually did get this one piece done, or I actually got the workbench cleared off for the first time in, I'm not going to say how long, but long enough. I finally sharpened up my chisels or my planes, or finally tuned up my bandsaw, or something worth celebrating, because dang it, you deserve it. And then for the R, I went with relevant, because relevant, if it's not relevant, is it helpful? I don't know. And how you define relevant might be open for interpretation too, because, for example, I just did a bunch of reorganizing with those totes. Not really something that gets me down the road on my chair. So, while I do think it's something appreciable, because I'm happy to have more organization and it does make me feel better to have things more organized in the shop, didn't really make any progress on the chair that way. And for the T, let's go with tangible. We're in a shop. Tangible, that should probably be the easiest thing. Like, hey, my workbench is clean. It's clean. It's pretty easy to see. The floor is swept. It's swept. It's clean. Pretty easy to see. And what you feel is best is obviously completely up to you, but going back to some of the stuff that I was talking about earlier, I know I said that maybe it's not always a skills gap. Maybe it's a confidence gap. Maybe you don't think you have the skill, or maybe you aren't quite happy with what you think you'll be able to do. Maybe do something like some practice joints, because one of the things that I need to do for the chair is some angled legs with wedged tenons. And I did this before I did the chair, obviously, because the chair is not done yet. And then I also thought, well, if I'm going to do that, I might as well do a practice on what would basically be an arm spindle. So here I have a little wedged spindle replica in a chunk of wood. Same thing with basically a mock chair leg. This one is square instead of octagonal, but you get the point. Essentially just something small and easy to kind of boost your confidence that's relevant to your project. And to me, those are the sorts of things that get me motivated to say, okay, I've run through this. It didn't end in scrap. Well, I don't know what I'm going to do with these, so I guess they probably are scrap. If you have any ideas for these, let me know. Maybe I should do a giveaway. No, I'm not doing a giveaway with those. But anyway, back to progress is the key. So the project graveyard doesn't have to be a place of shame. It could be a reminder that even the most ambitious projects can probably be rescued or reimagined or brought back to life. You just got to make small progress. And in the worst case scenario, don't be afraid to start again, because maybe you'll come up with a new solution that you didn't the first time, or maybe things will just work better, and maybe just stay on track and motivated to get things done. And don't forget to remind yourself not to let perfection get in the way of progress. So here's to trying to bring some of the project graveyard dead back to life. What sorts of things have you done to try and get motivated in the shop, or what are some projects you've worked on that may have fallen to a similar fate that you want to try and get back to? Let me know down in the comments below what some of your techniques and strategies are for restarting a project that may be slightly wayward. But anyway, that's what's been buzzing around in my head. I appreciate those of you that stuck around, and I will catch you on the next one.